Thank you for getting that recorded started, Victor. So this month we're going to cover a forum in review for our Lunch and Learn. Welcome, everyone. Just a reminder for upcoming events. Let's go through this. September 8th through 9th, we've got the Relationship Management Internal Customers and Suppliers course. September 11th, we've got Emerging and Young Professional Roundtable. So emerging and young professionals and the seasoned professionals are all welcome to join and share or ask questions. October 1st, we've got Unlocking the Benefits of Smart Procurement. October 8th, we've got the NIGP Fall Conference in Seattle, and you all should have seen an email come out today that registration is officially open. So October 9th and 10th, we've also got a contract management and performance course. And then I will let Victor talk about his next two courses coming
Thank,
up.
thank you, Sam. In November, there's an in-person training in Oregon at the Oregon chapter. We'll get confirmation that they'll open this up to other chapters, but it's a 2-day RFP class. Very excited. I'll be teaching that. And then also early spring, the RFP Learning Lab series will kick off. And in December, there'll be a promo of that series, which went from 6 to 7 sessions, each session being 4 hours. This week it's every Wednesday, starting in April, I believe. I'll double check that. But come December, if you're interested in what that Learning Lab series is about, you can attend that one for free.
I will brag a little bit on Victor's behalf. I have taken that course before it went to 7 classes. It was 6 at the time. As a procurement team of 1 over here at Link Transit, and when I was just starting out, I found it super helpful to learn from some professionals in the field who are experts on RFPs. So go ahead and check it out. They do have that intro course as well, just to talk about it.
Thank you.
Let's go over your tech. So first things first, you can mute yourself and enjoy the presentation just so we don't hear any background noises while we're trying to present. Go ahead and check your participant name. Make sure that it's your entire name so we can give you guys credit for attending. And you can do that by right-clicking on your video and choose to rename option. If you have questions, raise your hand using this image displayed below. You can select the raise hand button and we can call on you and read your question from chat. I'll be monitoring chat while we go through Victor's presentation. And I would like to hand it over to Victor Lemer, who's the senior buyer over at the Spokane County.
Thank you, Sam. That was in-depth and informative, and I appreciate that warm welcome. Hello, everyone. I hope you're still in the honeymoon phase, the afterglow of form, because that's what we're going to be talking about during the lunch hour today, and just a quick agenda of things that we'll be talking about. And if you have been there, I encourage you to raise your hand or just open your microphone and say, "Oh, I remember this," or my aha moment. We have some survey results that we did from our chapter attendees that we'll be sharing that with a little bit. And then the really important thing is those that did not attend, we want to give some tips, suggestions on the value that you can share with those that make the decisions, contain or control the purse strings, or even encourage you to sign up for a scholarship to do that. But we must go back a little bit and begin at the very beginning of most of us traveling out of SeaTac, and then a very short flight. I think it was about 2 hours. Went very quickly. We attended or landed in a beautiful airport, very, very big. But I thought Denver did a great job of promoting Forum with signage all around town. And the view from the hotel was amazing, looking over the convention center and downtown Denver. There was so many things to see, including a huge blue bear, which not only did we see, but it showed up throughout with a gentleman that took pictures of a little bear. You'll see here in just a second. I thought registration went very well this year, quick. It seems to be more efficient each time. And then there was a lot of activities to do. a baseball game, walking around downtown Denver. You could actually get a tour up to the top of that clock tower, which someone did and sent me some great photos. The Union Station was beautiful at night, perspective of the bear once again. And here's that little bear that we saw popping up on the forum app. And I thought that was really cute. Uh, the blue bear was fascinating. And there's a whole story behind that too, but we don't have time for that today. But if you put up Denver Blue Bear, you get a great story. And then the first session that kicked off was first timers. If you were a first timer, just let us know in the chat because those that attended for the first time, just as the official results here from NIGP, 91% felt welcome and supported, and I thought that was huge. So if you were a first timer, I need confirmation that you enjoyed it, that you felt. Well, here we go, Sarah. Weigh in, Sarah. Tell us about how you felt your first forum went.
It was amazing, not only by everyone here and everyone at NIGP, but across the nation. Everyone was so kind and would step up, seeing that I was a first timer and helping, and so it was great.
Good. And then Hannah, you were a first timer too. If you want to come off mic and let us know how did your experience go as a first timer? I know it's very overwhelming,
Yeah.
especially when you look at the size
Just
of the convention
navigating.
center.
Yeah, exactly. No, the great thing was I made sure I attended breakfast every morning. I sat at a different table, and the community, I mean, it was like amazing conversations that I never would have had I not attended in person. Because I've attended virtually the last 2 years in a row, and that also was very educational, but being there in person was a completely different experience. And everyone was so helpful and just had fantastic conversations and learned so much from that.
And then Hannah and Sarah at the tail end, I'll expect you as first timers to weigh in regards to tips for first timers that might want to go next year, as some things that you did, how you got finances, how many cookies did you have to sail, cars you had to wash to do all that. But was there anybody that's here today that was part of the quality control team? If you have ever gone to a forum and those amazing people that are corners standing there going, it's this way, as I'm heading down the hall this way, the individuals that volunteered for that are invaluable. So if you were part of that team, thank you so much. One thing that I wanted to do with some of the photographs that I did was just highlight a few things, including what I call the three F's, which would be, of course, plenty of food. If you've gone to college, you get the freshman 15. We got the forum 5 to 15 because it was sit, eat, learn, repeat. Plenty of great opportunities, not only during forum sessions, but I know a lot of people went out to enjoy the meals on town. And Margaret, what was that? Was that was your Sunday that you talked about?
Yeah, that was probably the most expensive milkshake I've ever had.
Oh, it was fun,
But
I
it was
bet.
it was great. It was huge.
Oh, and speaking of fun, not only 80s night that we'll see here, but slides just before this, you saw the Cirque del Soleil, I believe, and there was like 60 people from Forum that were there, and that was so much fun. Uh, I was impressed by those that decided to dress up for the 80s night. It brought back a lot of memories, good and scary. But the night of dress up, the band was amazing. I was amazed at how many of the younger generations knew all the words to the songs from the 80s. It was very impressive. But then the venue itself, the aquarium. Oh, and then some individuals had some time outside of Forum. Uh, that had a good time seeing the sights. I know some people went to Red Rock too. I didn't get time for that, but the aquarium was amazing. When you grow up in Alaska like myself, seeing places like this where it's like, whoa, there's a mermaid, and whoa, there's a tiger, and whoa, there's a bunch of people that dressed up like I did a few years ago that had so much fun. But and then some people had a lot of fun. We'll see a little more of that gentleman in just a little bit. Um, uh, his stage presence was hilarious. You can't make up some of the stuff that he did on stage, and we'll show that in a little bit. But what I really enjoyed was the Washington chapter in action. Um, Orcas are very prevalent in the Pacific Northwest, and there were so many pods of the chapter folks, not only just meeting and greeting, breaking bread, but inviting people to the table, uh, not being shy, um, knowing, hey, we're a team, and bring the first timers in to make sure they're doing okay. But the faces on our chapter members of just like, we're having some, well, not these faces, they're, why, take that camera off me. Um, is Maya here? I haven't had a chance to enjoy Maya yet. No. But these were just, oh, and then of course some former Washington chapter members. It's a great reunion. I always say Forum is like a family reunion. It's like a Comic Con and a family reunion mixed together. A bunch of nerds that are very comfortable with our passions and excited to see each other. Uh, but our chapter members just giddy and fun. But serious about going to the all the sessions and participating. But there's a camaraderie that I think is very unique to our chapter. And they're also photogenic. And the Mariner shirt was pretty cool too. And we don't hide our emotions. You know, if we enjoy something, we laugh about it. We eat quite a bit. And we all like to learn from each other. That part I really enjoyed, just rubbing elbows. Our local state conference is fun, but this is fun on steroids, where it's our chapter times 50, well, times 37, I believe is the current. But I thought Washington State did a great job representing ourselves, and not only representing ourselves, but getting awards, including what was the level again, Jenny? No, it's coming up, the Platinum Chapter Award. Yeah. Yeah.
So our first time hitting that platinum
Yeah.
levels, which
I,
is the
I
top.
and then the cheerleaders announcing it, that was such a great moment too. And then Cheryl's not here today, but what an honor to get the leadership award. And the trophy was very cool looking. Her presentation was good, and I think we were very proud of Cheryl and enjoyed celebrating with her. So that's our chapter in action there. I want to go to Forum again. You know, that was so much fun. Uh, and it went, I know it always goes by quickly, but you always take away uh, great things, sessions, networking, new friends. But just looking at the results, this is again from NIGP, that this was a very successful forum. 99% would recommend going next year. The exhibitors, I'm going to just go open this up. What did you think about the exhibitor expo, the hall of fame and row after row after row? How was your time in the supplier expo? Sarah, I agree. Overwhelming. Now, for the first timers, how much bling did you take back with you from the suppliers? I always find it hilarious that the new timers or the first timers, was it the Lowe's bag, the giant bag that they were giving away? It was Home Depot or Lowe's, but seeing the first timers, two full bags stuffed full of stuff. And it's like, yep, you
No,
got to go through that once to experience it. Yeah, Sarah?
yeah. I did not bring home any. I have been trained well that is not acceptable. You can't accept gifts even if they're, so yeah, we're pretty strict about that. So I did not bring home any.
Uh, and interesting to hear other people's policy on that. When my kids were in college, I would bring back stuff that would then go to them. It wouldn't go to work. I was always thrilled to get my yearly supply of chapstick renewed. But since I'm not seeing them anymore with going electronic, my thumb drive collection still needs to be refreshed every now and then. So I will bring some of those things. But yeah, anything that has branding on it, you don't see it in my office. Last year, I got the cool uh, man purse, whatever it's called, the suitcase that goes around you. What's the term I'm looking for?
Crossbody bag or
Thank you.
the yeah.
That's a lot of words there. The fanny pack that goes around the shoulder.
Yeah. I
Uh,
do have to say, I did talk to some of the vendors that we already do business with, and I did bring back some of those things to
mm,
share. And then some of the vendors that that I was researching information, they gave me some product literature, but I was very particular about what I brought back because I haven't been to Forum since 2016. So I was lucky to go again this year, but I knew that whatever I brought back had to fit in my suitcase. So
so
not too much came back with me.
Teresa, from 2016 to this last year, what stood out to you that was different from Forum?
I think there were a lot more vendors. The last one I was at was National Harbor, Maryland. Back then, I was able to go to Kansas City in 2015 and then National Harbor in 2016. And after that, I lost my training budget.
Hmm.
So I wasn't able to attend Forum anymore. And then I changed jobs during the pandemic, which is why I was able to budget for it this year and be able to attend this year. And actually, my boss came with me as well. Um, yeah, I'd say a lot more vendors. Um, Trying to think what else was different. I mean, the sessions were all really great. It was great to see people again. There was a lot of my mentors were there. So I was able to run into people like Marquita Gillespie and Lourdes Coss is here in Illinois. So I was able to see her in person because I see her on monthly Zooms for training. It was just great seeing people again and being
Mhm.
able to connect with people and then go to the sessions and exchange business cards. And yes, I'm going to follow up with you afterwards because we want to connect and continue conversations.
The hardest part for me is each year choosing what session to go to. And the slide says 72 learning session plus 11 theater sessions. I believe that was for the supplier sessions during the expo. But when you have any time you look at the schedule, oh, I've got 8 classes to choose from, of which 6 I would love to go to. But NIGP has done a great job of taking all those sessions with all these great presenters and making them virtual and to see them again afterwards. I've gone back and I've watched the plenary speakers once again. That was good. There were several that I seriously had to flip a coin to decide, and the deciding factor was what can't I do again by watching it that I need to be in the room, the interactions, to be able to ask questions,
Yeah.
to engage. Just, I'm a person that enjoys um, watching the visuals of somebody. And the plenary speakers here were amazing too. And we have some aha moments that we'll talk about next in regards to things that you took back with you. But has anybody gone back and watched any of the recordings or at least downloaded some of the presentations or the slides?
I did a little bit at right when we got home, but I do still want to. I think it's available till the end of October. Is that correct? 60 days after Forum?
Yes. And here's a little inside hint. Don't get rid of your app.
Right.
As long as you have your app on your phone, you will have access. I still go back to 3, 4 years
Good.
ago and use the app, and I can still see some of the recordings because there's been times it's like, what was that presentation where the lady had over 100 slides and just it's like, oh yeah, it was her. And then to go back for me, learning from others how to do training, where if I walk away learning something, it's like, okay, what was it that allowed me to engage with them to learn? And I as we look at some of these aha moments, um, most of these were based on the plenary speakers, plenary, plenary, the keynote speakers, plenary. It's such a fun word, plenary. Is it Greek for something? Like they speak a whole bunch? Plenary. Anyway, you shouldn't think out loud sometimes when you're in a live situations. But thank you, Connie. Oh, and Connie, I'm going to ask you as a virtual attendee, uh, pros and cons, how is engagement? Because I think that's important as those that consider watching virtually next year. What are some things that worked and didn't work? And we have some pros and cons from the survey that said there were some technical issues once again with
Mhm.
the virtual.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were technical issues, but they were right on it. They were trying really hard, and because we had recordings, it really, if I missed a part of one, it didn't matter that much to me. For the money for virtual attendance, gosh, the information was just outstanding. If you can't be there in person, it is definitely worth attending virtually. So many classes. And I had the same issue. There was so many that I had to kind of choose between. And I have gone back and looked at some of the slides and recordings. So yeah,
Mhm.
I I hope to do more. And I don't have the app downloaded, so now I'm wondering, can I post attendee download an app?
Well, if remind me afterwards if somebody can, if you still have the link, we could post that here, and maybe while someone's chatting, I can look for it. But we could post a link that you put in your email address and the password, which is 2025 forum, all one word with a capital F. Then you have access. You don't need the app.
Okay.
But as long as that website's up, you can have it. But I just like the app because I like to pull up the information, bios, or who was that trainer, because I know we have an opening on WANIGP next year, and we really enjoyed the speaker, so we'll do that again. Teresa, were you virtual this year?
No, I was virtual last year,
Last
and
year,
there were a
okay.
lot of I was virtual the last 2 years, and there were a lot of technical problems.
And
So I was glad that I was able to attend this year because I'm in higher ed. So one of the sessions that I was in higher ed, we were able to connect, my boss and I were able to connect with someone who has the ERP system that we want to look at. So they're going to do a demonstration, a virtual demonstration for us so that we could see it from the user side and not from the
perfect.
vendor side. But I wouldn't have had that connection if I wasn't there.
Hmm. That's good. And I know last year there was a lot of complaints in regards to uh, in the middle of a session, we would have small groups at the table, and then the online group was supposed to have a conversation, but it just fell apart. And I
Yeah.
think in our training, when you're doing your session, we're not going to do breakout sessions. We're just going to have the conversation, and we're going to keep it in the room. And that way, as engagement went back and forth, people got on the microphone, and those in the chat were able to engage with the audience too. And I thought the individuals that were, thank you, Sam, the platform access is in the chat right now. Sam, you get a bonus pay check for volunteering here this time. Uh, but the individuals that were in the room helping with each session that were watching the chat, I don't know what training they got, but they were so prompt and say, "Oh, we got a question. Uh, Sam from Washington State has this question." Gave credit to whoever was asking the question, then asked the question. So I thought that went very, very well. And if you have any aha moments that you want to expand on that, oh, I took this back with me and it worked great. But the one thing that I really enjoyed was this comment. I didn't write this, but I enjoyed this because it really stood out in one of the plenary speakers. Do you want me to listen offer advice, or intervene. And not only do I do that at work, but in my home life, it has helped quite a bit. Honey, are you wanting me to fix this for you, or are you just venting? Because usually I just sit there and listen when that's not the intent. But if you don't ask, you don't know what the audience is looking for from you. But anything else stood out in regards to maybe a session, a conversation that was like, wow, I like Teresa, thank you for sharing about uh, the ERP, because who knew you could have a user give a demonstration, hopefully without the vendor present, so that there is a open, trusting dialogue, because that's the way we do uh, uh, our demonstrations. We'll have the vendor, but then we'll have a user without the vendor present, so we get the real answers. Inspirational speaker on the second day. Yes, it was, and that was. I believe I had these in order. That was here.
So Heather
Yeah.
Younger?
Yeah. And just wanted to go through each one of
No,
these.
it was the lady to the far right.
Oh, the
Oh,
doctor.
she's the
Okay.
last day, wasn't she? Wasn't she the last day?
Yeah.
Was she? Okay.
Yeah. Here's
Yeah,
the
she's
order. Here's the order that they came in. Seb was first on Sunday, and remember he had the all the different adventures that he went on, marrying a stranger, which was like, okay, wow, but you were married. And but his presentation was hilarious, and just this story about the gentleman that wanted his head shaved, and then he wanted to run in a race, and then he wanted to bike a race. It was like, how inspiring for that. I think it was two forums ago. It was the lady that spoke about fear, and she came out dancing, and then she said, my fears were this, and she took on a hundred fears or something like that, which Seb reminded me of that same thing of, how do you know you're not going to like it unless you try it? And it's kind of like we do in procurement is, how do we know unless we ask why or what if? I thought the caliber of the speakers and just that leadership thread that went through, I think independently, really spoke to me in my role here. Uh, Heather, she came from a mixed family of uh, a very sad childhood without her picture on the wall at all, or not being accepted, but how we go through situations in life and what do we do when we learn from those. She was incredible. And if you haven't downloaded the plenary speakers uh, slides or gone back and look at your camera for all the camera taking, I believe if you go to the site again, they'll have a QR code that you will get access to the slides if you didn't get those yet. But some of the slides themselves were just amazing. Spoke about something personal and intimate. Yes. Yeah, I think everybody had something except for Ben. I don't think he had any. Did he have any
Yeah.
personal stories?
He talked about his mom. I started to cry afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah. Ben was great. And what to take a hobby and use that uh, for entertainment and then also for relating stories to us. But his presentation was really good, not only um, for his showmanship, but how he also engaged with particular audience
Taylor,
members.
take a small step back. Now, you know what they say, practice makes perfect. So I just need you to do that gesture over and over and over again while I talk to the audience. So friends, Taylor is going to need a little help. Taylor is going to need some support. Because in a moment, Taylor and I are going to do this gesture. No, the whole one. Boom.
My favorite part.
Boom. 3 times. Once for each card we're going to try and send across the stage. And I promise this has something to do with connection. We're going to get to it. So, how do you support Taylor? It's very simple. When I ask, all you have to do is make noise. When I ask, stomp your feet, hit the table, clap your hands, hoot, holler, whatever you got to do, because Taylor and I are going to do this gesture. Not this, the other one. Boom.
Oh, Taylor, I wish he was here. And Jenny, you probably know Taylor better, but he's just an innocent, fun guy that, when he did his, oh, this is what I'm doing. You couldn't make that up. But to just see that on stage, the interaction from the plenary speakers with the audience was just, it created this instant desire to listen intently and take stuff from their good and bad times. And then Dr. Robin, what a story when her car went off the road. For those that hadn't attended, I can't remember how old, uh, but it was a snowy day. Her car went off the road into a river and went underwater. But eventually she got out, and a gentleman stopped by and had some wood in his truck and was able to get out to her. But what a story. As she was talking around the internet, and I found newspaper clippings of her story. But to learn from that and to talk about stress and how that was, of course, a very stressful situation, but how she learned from that and shared some great tools. Yeah, she was a teenager. I think she said just left home. She was 17 or maybe 18. But anything on the plenary speakers that really hit home for anybody?
Right. She said you can do hard things. And that was, you can.
Sarah, well put. Each one did hit in a very different way. Laugh, cry, agree, shock. Yeah, they all had very unique presentations and stories, but still weave through their skills that we can take home with us to learn from. Going back to the NIGP survey, looking at the strengths so far, just curious if you agree with these strengths or if you found anything else that went really well. I think every session I went to, the way they taught, it wasn't sit there and listen to me. It was, I'm going to throw something out. If you have something to share or a question to ask, you are welcome to do that. Every session. And they didn't fill it up with 75 minutes of material. It was filled up with the expectation of we may go on a rabbit trail. We may have a ton of questions. We're going to go at this at a pace that it's not drinking from the fire hose, but it was a sip here and a sip there. But I really enjoyed a very relaxed environment for all the sessions that I went to.
An input that I don't know if you could share with NIGP. I've been participating in the networking sessions. And traditionally, they've always done it on a Sunday right after the plenary, when everybody's, I guess, pumped up. This year, they moved it to like the end of the day, right before the social event. And I think that the energy was not quite the same. And I've always kind of wondered if it's something that they want to continue to have, because it's one of those where either A, people are really wanting to hear what other folks are doing by type of, entities, or it could, turn into a griping session, or it could just be, it depends on who's facilitating that, for our example, we were a large county. Tabitha and I typically, we don't want to have crickets, so we had slides ahead of time just in case no Q&A, comes up on the board in the room. And so we were more prepared than less prepared, but at the same time, I don't know what the other folks experience in their other networking opportunity session.
With you being smart and having material prepared, did you still get a variety of different questions?
We did, yeah. Definitely, there was a lot of questions about federal funded contracts and what to do for the department, the awards. So a few things did come up. But like, I don't know if that network, I feel like we need more networking opportunities that's not so Q&A.
Mhm.
Just literally just talk to people in a room with like-minded folks and just let them at it without having to really technically facilitate.
Have it
Just
just,
so they can get to know more people
right, just an open format
instead of
rather
running
than,
back and forth to the next class, more networking.
that's a great idea. And Sarah, I thought there was a port group. There wasn't this year?
No,
Mm.
we sat out in the hallway. Maya and a bunch of us just kind of sat out in the middle and congregated that way. And when I asked about it uh, on through the app, I was told, well, you can start one and there's extra rooms. But it's like, well, I mean, I could, but I'm a first timer and I don't know what's supposed to happen. So
Because in the past, I thought there's been one for like the utilities, the electrical. That's not the word I'm looking for,
Not the
but
same. Ports are
but
different.
I thought there had been ports previously. But
No,
wow.
he's been
So
asking for that for years.
Margaret, Sarah, I would say as we gear up for next year that you make that inquiry and i.e. volunteer to lead the group. And Jenny's been doing it for several years now, so she's a great resource that could help you out with that. The special purpose district, yeah, transit, yeah, a lot of little groups, but at the same time, I agree with Jenny, just having the group together and saying, hey, not just Washington related, but um, here's some county issues, but here's some general issues that we can talk about. Did tariffs come up in your discussion, Jenny? Okay. So there's universal topics that
Yeah, we pulled questions from the end site that were like hot
hmm,
topics prior to forum, and so we literally put the same post in there and then did the same thing and then did Q&A.
mhm.
So I think that was helpful again to expedite. But again, the session was at the end of the day, right before when everybody's excited to dress up for the social event. So I could tell we were losing steam. We actually let people out a little early.
And that's very similar to the award dinner from last year. It was the last day, and suppliers had scheduled some events at the same time, which was not very polite. But the room was half empty during the awards this year. I thought were very very good, especially the gentleman that presented the Volunteer of the Year award. I thought he was a great speaker. Looked a lot like me. I'm joking. I am so joking. But yeah, as a talent council chair, there's chair elected awards, and I got the pleasure of I'll float out a couple names, or I'll ask chapter presidents or individuals that work chapter ambassadors. I'll say, who's out there that's somebody that is standing out to you as someone that's doing a great job. And the person that got the award this year, Amber Yates, came up from several people independently. So to me, that confirmed this year's award. Uh, Opportunities for improvement, technical issues, that I presume is mostly online. I did notice that in the plenary speaker, the main room, they had the speakers mounted halfway in the middle of the room instead of going down the sides. Sound was so much better this year. That was good. The magician with the vocals in the songs was driving me crazy when they played Magic Man or from Heart. The song lyrics and his voice were at the same, and just being a former radio slash DJ, it was like, read the room, guys. Shouldn't play an instrumental instead. Concept def, misaligned. Advanced felt basic, some to service level. I didn't experience that. The ones that I chose were, unique topics. Did anybody go into something and feel it was a bait and switch where it was either advertised as complex and it wasn't, or it was simple and then presented in a very complex way?
No, mine was the first session right after plenaries. It was the first day. They had technical difficulties. It took quite a while for them to actually get going. That people started leaving the room.
Wow.
And then when they finally got it going, the slides were like, I could have read it myself. And the presenters, instead of being in the center of the room, spread out on each side of the slides or the screen. It's really dark and you couldn't see them, and the microphone was so you could barely hear them. And so that was disappointing because it was about leadership and I was really excited to learn something about it. But the good news is I could go back to their slides and actually, glean from it. But it was unfortunate because it was like right out of the gate from plenary. And it's the first day, so.
Was the convention center too big?
Always.
Was it hard to get from one location? But there was a longer break in between. That part was nice.
I thought that worked out really well, having a half hour in between so you could figure out, okay, where am I going next? Because I tried to map out my morning and take a look at the schedule because I had breakfast at my hotel and then looked at it and said, okay, where am I going first? And then where am I going after each one? So I liked the half hour break in between. And let's face it, we all got our steps in walking around that huge convention center.
And then some.
Yeah.
Well, when you have I was gonna say, when you have a milkshake this big, those steps are very important. I'm sorry, Jenny, go ahead.
Oh, I said the ballroom, there were two ballrooms that were called ballrooms, but then you realize the ballroom on this side where the big presentation, it's not directly behind that ballroom. You had to go to the other side. And then you had to remember 1, 2, 3, 4, A, B, C, D, right? So I think, and this could be a suggestion, not just for first timers, but maybe at registration, potentially if people are interested in a tour of like where the rooms will be, before they actually get going on Sunday. That could be an added bonus that the member council could maybe, lead up, or the chapter ambassadors to say, hey, here are the M rooms or the N rooms, and you go here. If your hotels are coming from this side, like these doors or something. But I would just say hands down, convention center staff were the best. I think that they paid so great attention. I even noticed the one leader, she had her little clipboard. She was making sure people were like on them, and everybody at the doors were very friendly and they always asked how you're doing. I love that.
The one younger lady at the time when tickets were being handed out for the scholarship drawing and then also the toast, she had a voice that was like, you could hear coming way down to the hall saying, this is happening soon. And she was so upbeat and positive that the quality control team, I don't know if they just randomly pick people or they give them positions that meet their personality and their skill sets. And every volunteer was not like, oh, I got to sit at the corner. It's like, no, I am the guard at the corner. I am the director. You direct them this way and direct them that way. It was so helpful. And I always give great kudos to that team. And it popped in my head too that in regards to a port and a transit breakout session, not only send a note to the member council, but also to Carrie Winter. She is in charge of the forum. And if you just let her know, hey, this is great. However, we have a group of people, or can you send out a survey? Or is there insight communities for those specific groups that you can just, Sarah, is there a port? Or Margaret, is there a airport port community?
I don't think so.
Then it's time to ask for one. They will certainly create one for you if that would be beneficial, because sometimes there's unique things that perch issues wouldn't necessarily meet your needs when it's very specific. I would do that. Yeah, and Karen Robinson is in charge of the QC team, and I like visiting Karen only not only because she's fun to chat with, but to thank her. But she always has a giant bowl of chocolate in the QCT room, so it's always nice to pop in there and say hi to her. Yeah, now that's a good, Jeff, is that too broad for that group? Are there unique circumstances that would benefit everyone to have not all lumped together?
Perhaps because transit has like NTI stuff that may or may not be appropriate to bring up at a conference like this, but and airports. I mean, there was the one that I went to with the transportation one. They were talking about airports, and one of the people at the presenters was kind of like, "Well, we get like basically $5 in federal funding. The rest of it's all private." I'm thinking, oh my gosh, why in the world do you even bother with the $5 of federal funding? That creates so much headache. So, and then the topics kind of went off that direction. I'm like, this really has nothing to do with transit. But okay, here it's still kind of interesting. But yeah, they do.
Hey, Jeff.
Yeah, an FAA for airports. Yeah.
It's because the feds never give you 100%.
Oh, no. It's always 80-20 or 20-80 is what they actually have tried to do in the past. So yes, there's always a match, yes. But personally, I've wondered if the 20% has been, or the 80% has been worth it for the 20% and all the on some things. That's neither here nor there. But yeah, there are some difference between the different parts of transportation.
Well, good. And like I said, NIGP is really there to help you out. And then if it's networking, then ask for an Insight group. They will certainly help out. That's not a grade. That's a scale there, Jenny. Personally, in the chat, I asked what grade would you give Forum. I'm giving them a solid A this year. I thought,
Mine
and
is an
yeah. Yeah, NIGP was complaining in regards to there was labor issues with union employees at the convention center. I didn't see any of the issues. That was all behind the scenes. They didn't let any of that affect any of the events or the attenders too. So if you have not marked it on your calendar, then it's time to do that for next year in Columbus, Ohio. There's the dates, and I believe it's January when they will start to open up for registration. And if you haven't attended before, I recommend that you make the hotel reservations as soon as they're available. March, thank you, Jenny. Because if you're in the official hotel, you're most likely close to the convention center. Although I felt everything was really close. Maximum was maybe 3 blocks away, so that wasn't an issue. And then be on the lookout. Sourcewell should be posting scholarship opportunities. And I would download that and really spend some time filling that out, because next year I'm paying for my own attendance unless we get a budget. But here in Spokane, there's not a lot of money running around, so I'm anticipating doing that. But for those that attended, and Sarah and who else was the other first-time attender? Was it
Sarah,
Katie?
Hannah.
Oh, yeah, Hannah, sorry.
Yeah, Hannah, thank you. If you two have any tips of how did you get the okay to go this year, that those that have never gotten to attend might take to heart?
Well, my situation was a little bit unique because I was previously in the finance department. And they asked me to come over to contract, so they created like a 2-year in training program for me. Which I just completed the 2 years. So the final piece was attend in person if possible. So I had a long conversation, like laid out the costs and said, okay, as part of my in training, are you supporting in person or not? You know, it was close enough. So it was kind of a unique situation. So I don't know if I'll get to go in person again, but I certainly enjoyed it this year.
And yeah, I had requested it in budget. So in 2024, I put together a budget of what I thought it would be and requested it. And it was approved and then denied and then approved and then denied. And it was cut. And then and the reason it turned out was cut was not the training side of it, but the travel side of it. And that our travel budget was, they were slashing any travel essentially. And so my supervisor and, I went to her and just talked with her about it. And then she went back and fought for it. So, but it was definitely worth it. And, talking that through with her.
I would imagine if you don't ask, there's 100% chance that you're not going to get permission to go.
Right.
But if you do go forward and ask, you better make sure that you have some supporting evidence. Ask somebody for some of the video clips or some of the slides or things that we've taken from this meeting saying, this is what I brought back to the office. And just the value of it. It's not a vacation. It is intense. There are a couple fun nights, but you are session after session and then networking with the suppliers. There's a lot you can do in preparing. And then if you do get a go to bring back, and I do encourage you, if you have not done so, get in the habit of making a presentation. These are some things that I'm bringing back to the office. Teresa, you brought back a bunch of flyers and white papers and stuff from the vendors saying, hey, I know we were looking for this and I found 4 potential suppliers that are going to bid on it.
Right. And for me, I have 3 different certifications and one is my CPM lifetime, so I don't have to renew that anymore. But I have my CPPB, and then this past year I got my CPP, my NIGP CPP. So that has to be renewed in 2 more years, and my B has to be renewed in another year or 2. So I have to earn like 18 CEU hours every year in order to maintain my certifications. So for me, I put together a mini budget of what it would cost and then had that discussion with my boss about attending this year. And then she reviewed everything and then we had a meeting and she was asking me questions about certification and then said, okay, you can put it in your budget, because I didn't want her to get sticker shock when she saw my budget to approve for this huge training and travel and training dollar figure in there. And she says, and I want to go with you. So she came also. We both budgeted for it and we both came. So luckily
Nice.
our budgeted funds got approved.
And my boss watched virtually and haven't had a chance to debrief with her and say, hey, what did you get out of it? And did you see the value of attending next year? And I think you get 24 credits for forum.
About 23 or 24, yes.
So if
that's
you do,
a lot.
Yeah, and if you do the breakdown, I would do in my follow-up report saying, here's the total cost divided by 24. You paid for this much for each one of my credits. So, and I'm already met the amount needed for recertification. Winding down real quick, it would not be the same unless we did show the most important feature of any event is having a selfie with Jenny. And and this was just some of the highlights of our president is an Energizer bunny. I don't know how you did it or how you continue to do it, or how do you have such a great battery in your phone or the capacity for all those photos. But you are always just an inspiration, and these pictures that you take each year. And if you're a Facebook friend, if you friend Jenny, she has some great folders from not only Washington events but forum events. It's like, oh, I didn't realize there's so many great photos out here. But this just, I think, captures the joy being with our peers that I think, and the accomplishment, all the awards that we get to share with each other. It's not just memories, it makes us better individually and then as a group too. And then, of course, getting some Rick time into that was really, really nice this year.
Yeah.
So that is our forum in review. And Sam, the review is, see, that's the rear view mirror there, and forum are looking back at it. I hope you got that.
I did now that you mentioned it.
I'm sorry, you got a snort out of me with that one. If
I
you ever
did.
been to one of my class, whenever I mention some old technology, I'll find the youngest person in the room and say, a fax machine was a communication device. And it just, so I pick on Sam all the time because she gives back and she can handle it too. Any questions or final comments in regards to forum that we want to share? Closing thoughts from anybody?
No, I thought it was great. I was glad that I was able to attend this year, and I hope I get to attend more in the future.
So correction a little bit, Victor, on the CEH points for for face to face. It's this year it's 19.5,
Okay.
then 18 for virtual. I just looked back at my PowerPoint presentation prior to
Good.
forum.
Still a good value per each credit. I mean, if you did any in-state training session, you do the math for attending a 2-day, you get so many credits. The cost of that compared to the cost of getting everything in a week is such a benefit. Well, that will do it for our lunch and learn. And for those that weren't on camera, I hope you enjoyed your lunch. Connie, don't forget to brush your teeth when you're done. And we'll be back next month, first Wednesday of the month, for another lunch and learn. Thank you, everyone, for attending. And Margaret, you owe me a milkshake, I think.
Thank you, everyone.